Even if you told me your God or Buddha or Allah or Mahatma, whoever is divine to you, told you, uh, that's not going to cut it. I may even believe in the same deity that you do. Even that's not going to cut it. Because God telling you is maybe the reason you chose that answer. But God telling you is not a reason. So make a distinction between the two. Learn to argue. That's going to help you quite a bit in life. The people who are simply answering by simply looking up stuff, I call them the linear thinkers. Again, using my best Seinfeld impression, not that there's anything wrong with that. Those people are needed in workforce because you want people who are going to do things and you ask them to do. Those are the linear people. But you're not going to pay them well. Why? If you don't like them, you can simply replace them. You know, what's the difference between a tomato from Aldi versus tomato from Walmart? Not too much. I mean, Aldi tomatoes are a little bit better and probably cheaper. That's about it. So if I don't like the tomatoes in Aldi, I can always go to mine, right? But if I'm buying a custom software for risk management, then I want a solution plan, not just somebody. I push a button, it tells me something. Okay? I want people who can tell me what that number means. In my previous class, it's called Portfolio and Investment Management. We talked about a concept called value at risk or expected loss and this sort of stuff. You know, if I told you that value at risk for this portfolio is $20, everybody can push a button, especially on a software I provided, to tell me that value at risk is $20. But I want someone who's going to tell me what that means. That means there's at most 5% probable that I'm going to lose more than $20 on this investment. In risk management parlance, that's a measure of tail risk. Okay? If you actually make that 95% into 99, I kind of call that the black swan risk. Okay? Do you guys know the expression black swan? What do you think the color of a swan is? Well, white. And what did you base that answer on? Those are the swans you've seen, okay? But black swans do exist. You just haven't seen them. They're rare. You know, just like an albino. It is, you know, a mutation in one of the genes. Most people's have, you know, the right gene to have whatever color they're going to have. You know, black, white, yellow, brown, whatever it is. But independent of race, some people do not have that gene, so they're albinos. Okay? Just because I haven't seen an albino doesn't mean they don't exist. So black swans do exist, but that's very rare. So if you actually do everything based on the information that, well, I haven't seen a situation where AA rated mortgage-backed security lost half of its value. So I'm going to act as if that will never happen. You could, then in 2008, you're going to actually pay for that. Have you guys ever watched the movie The Big Short? You should. Okay? And there is something in the same vein. It's called Margin Call. That's a great movie. One of the reasons 2008 was worse than anybody could have expected. People just took too much risk. When Lehman Brothers went down, the leverage ratio was 1 to 30. That means For every every $30 asset they had, only $1 was their own money. They borrowed the rest. That roughly means that. Okay? Why? Because they were investing into AA rated mortgage-backed securities. Oh, those things never go down because housing market never goes down. I'll tell that to a lot of people who bought a house for $200,000 in Florida in 2007, and 1 year later it wasn't even worth 100. Okay? Crap happens. Some swans are black. So you gotta measure your black swan risk. So I want people who are gonna understand what a black swan is and what to do about it. Those are non-linear thinkers. Okay? You don't want everybody in your workforce to be a non-linear thinker. In fact, non-linear thinkers typically are horrible to do the job of the linear thinkers because they get bored. I mean, I told you guys it's I am a surgeon with numbers, and to the extent of things I need, I can program the heck out of Excel for anything I need. I am not a VBA expert. I know how to do what I need. Even if I don't know how to do it, I know how to learn. You make me a CPA and pay me $200,000 a year, and I'm going to be extremely unhappy. I can do it, I just don't want to, because it doesn't excite me. I'm going to be horrible to clients because, when I give an advice to a client, they don't follow it and they suffer the consequences for it. I actually let them know. I had a client years ago. We were managing some of his money in Turkey. He had about $50 million net worth, and he had about $35 million in US. But he used to ask me advice. And before NASDAQ crashed, about 3 months before, NASDAQ was trading around 5,000 or so. I know that's very low these days. I told him, you gotta get out of NASDAQ. He says, no, my brokers tell me this and this. I said, at least buy a put option for NASDAQ 3,000, okay? It's basically an insurance. If NASDAQ goes below 3,000, they're gonna compensate you for the difference. It's like an insurance with a big deductible, okay? If you have a $25,000 car, you insure it with complete insurance, but you get $5,000 deductible. That means if you get into a crash, the first $5,000 expense is yours, and insurance companies are gonna take care of it. But those insurances are cheap. No, I said, how much that's gonna cost me? I kind of did a rough calculation. I said, oh, just $500,000. Well, that was a lot of money to me, but to him, $500,000 on a $35 million portfolio, it's simple insurance. Of course, he didn't do it. And 3 months later, NASDAQ crashes to around levels of, I think, below 2,000. I'm not sure exactly. He lost on that $35 million portfolio $20 million. Had he followed what I did, he would have lost only maybe 5 or so, okay? And he's coming, he's crying. This guy has a big boat that has to be served, big household with servants and stuff. His annual expenditure is $1 billion. And he uses his portfolio to generate income to do all of that. It was maybe around 50, 55 those days. Man, I have to work again. Okay, rich man problems. And I have to tell him, I told you to do it. And you know what his response was? Why didn't you do it? You had the authority to do it yourself. I did. But as a portfolio manager, you can't do stuff your client explicitly said no when you ask them to do it. It's a no-winner. It is not illegal. You can still do it. I had the authority to do it. But had I done that and nothing happened to NASDAQ, he would have said, where's my $500,000? And this guy came to meet him with a gun in his belt. I mean, he was kind of famous, voted for protection, but he was one of our biggest clients. We didn't tell him leave your gun at the security. He just came in. There was a little chance that he could have shot me if I had lost him $500,000 by doing a trade that he explicitly said don't do it. But you need people like that. That guy didn't realize he did. Later on, I had a similar client. He was my broker's client, but every once in a while he asked my opinion. There was a big crash in February 2001 in Turkey. This is even before 9/11. This guy had about $50 million invested in the market. He had a lot of leverage, and he was in a lot of volume for us. I looked at it, I said, I like this company. He was investing into a military electronics company, and I love this company, but you're exposed way too much. He said, just at least reduce your leverage to normal and get some of the money to Switzerland. This was kind of some doing shady stuff. He was a manipulator. And he says, no, I'm making a lot of money. So, okay. Then 2001 crash happens. That 50 million goes down to 5. And after 9/11, I lost my job. I was the number 2 in the company. And my boss, number 1, who was the actually owner of the company, he says, I'm either going to fire you or I'm going to fire 4 brokers. What do you say to that? You know, are you going to say, okay, fire those 4 people, let them be hungry? So I said, okay. 2 weeks later, this client calls, man, you were so right. Why don't you come work for me as an analyst?